Welcome to the Cincy Postcast. I'm Kevin Wallace, and before we get started with today's episode, I want to tell you about our friends over at Streetside Brewery. That's right, the best damn brewery in the city is bringing you this episode. Look, it is a fantastic place. I talk about it every single week, every single episode, and I am more than happy to because they brew amazing beers, a huge variety of beers. They have a great spot there over on the east side of Cincinnati. It's a good time. And this week we have 2 away matches for FC Cincinnati, which means you've got 2 opportunities to go check them out. Go head on over to Streetside Brewery, have a good time. You will have a good time when you are there, and they will treat you right. Watch the away games on Wednesday and on Saturday, Montreal and Orlando. It's a good time. The patio is great. The inside is great. They have very friendly staff. You will enjoy it. Hey, you can't make it out, that's fine. They sell retail, all right? Go support our friends over at Streetside Brewery, and you will not be disappointed. And on today's episode, well, in part 1, it's FC Cincinnati. That's right. There's some rumors going around about some players. We give you some updates on those. There is a match on Wednesday, Montreal. We preview it. What is our best 11 right now? Big questions to be asking here. In part 2, it's a look at the Club World Cup. In fact, if you listen to the World's Gam, our MLS show, this will also be a bonus episode on the World's Gam feed. So if you listen to this episode, great. You will be off the hook for having to listen to the World's Gam. But for everybody else, this is a bonus episode for the World's Gam. But we talk about the matches so far that caught our attention, as well as predicting the final group standings in each group. It's a fun little look at a fun tournament that we have totally gotten swept up in. Put it all together, you got yourselves a beefy postcast. Joining me to talk about all of that and more, I'm joined by 2 gentlemen who can see the light at the end of the tunnel. That is the mid-season, off-season. I'm joined by Chief. I'm joined by Grayson. Grayson, oh my God, as I belch right into the microphone here. Has it felt like, a long layover from FC Cincinnati, or has it more felt like laying out to give space to the Club World Cup, and then we pick up with the FCC right when we feel like we've had our fill?
Yeah, I've seen on social media that a lot of people are connecting with the Club World Cup and really holding space with it.
Yes.
Especially I've seen a few posts. I'm in soccer media.
Oh man, Chief, we will touch more on this in part 2, but
yeah.
how has it felt so far?
It's been good. I think that this Club World Cup break has given us a valuable opportunity to really increase our soccer consumption without the stress that goes along with actually caring deeply about what the match results are for the most part. The other nice part about this too is I looked at the calendar originally and saw that the FC wasn't playing any home games for the entire month of June. I was like, well, that's kind of lame. And then it turns out it's 90 degrees outside with a relative humidity of about 120. And the air conditioner has just been running the entire time for the last week and looks to be doing so for another week after this. So, I'm not mad that we don't have any home games during this stretch right now. This is a wonderful opportunity to spend more time in the great indoors.
Chief, I don't know if you saw this. This was posted in our Discord, which if you're not in there, join. It's free. We don't put that behind a paywall. Come hang out. This was a screen capture of a conversation, or say three posts on X, the Everything app. It's all happening on X. This was, I just thought I'd steal a bit for a second. ESPN FC posting that the Borussia Dortmund bench was watching the Club World Cup match from the locker room because of the heat. It was currently, or the post says, it is currently 87 degrees in Cincinnati where the match is being played. Now, Taylor Twellman, quote, posts that and says, "Are we serious with this? The 2014 World Cup was absurdly hotter and more humid than this," which I think is a fair point. I also think it's funny he went to 2014 and not, the one that was held in the Middle East that necessitated hydration breaks in every match.
I guess it wasn't as humid, but
right,
yeah,
maybe it wasn't.
Fair enough.
Right, it's a dry heat, so it's fine.
Stu Holden quote tweeted that and said it's the softest thing he's ever seen in football.
Now, this is where I thought it was very funny. In response to Taylor Twellman, the Massive Report, the Columbus Crew outlet, responds, "Doesn't make it right, TT. Just because FIFA doesn't care about the players doesn't mean they shouldn't care about themselves." Which I ask you this, Chief, should MLS fold for the sake of the players? Should we just scrap the league?
They have no choice. This is how the winter schedule terrorists win right here.
That's a good point.
Is with people like the Massive Report who just think it's a good idea to tell a person who actually played soccer during the summer that his takes on playing in the heat are wrong.
I do love that. No, Taylor, you don't understand. As somebody who writes a blog about this sport, it is really hot at 87 degrees, not 95, not 100. Temperatures that we have seen and regularly see in Major League Soccer. 87 degrees is where we're drawing the line.
Right. This is doing nothing to combat the pervasive belief in we'll say like the football guy population that soccer stars are painfully soft.
Well, it's coming hot on the heels of Pulisic saying, I can't play any games this summer. I have to go ride horses with my girlfriend. And that was an uncharitable characterization of what he said. I'm going
to choose to believe that's accurate right there. I like that.
It is interesting. It makes you wonder if Dortmund was doing their former academy player a solid there, saying like,
cover.
You know what? You've gotten too much criticism here in the States. We're not winning this thing anyway, and the Americans already hate us because we keep Gio Reyna in a cupboard under the stairs. And we might as well, do this and get some of the attention off your back.
Yeah. Borussia Dortmund, now the international leaders in taking the heat off people.
I just want to point this out. La Liga starts on August 17th later this year. Barcelona, the average temperature in August is 74 degrees. The high temperature gets up to 84 degrees regularly in the month of August. It's
not as humid.
Oh, okay.
It's a dry heat.
I'm actually serious. Like it's very comfortable. You can go out, you can like walk around Barcelona in like, long pants and be fine in the summer, which you should, because like, Jesus, you wear shorts like a child.
I mean, when you think about it, like humidity is just hydration in the water. So it's mind over matter. You can just think of the air you're breathing is also hydrating you at the same time. For more information on this, Google wet bulb temperature and learn more about how water can hydrate you as you walk around.
Yeah. It is concerning that once you start looking up the wet bulb temperature and that concept, climate change becomes a lot more pressing of a concept.
Yeah, it's all right. Just we got the Club World Cup to distract us. We don't need to think about existential terror or anything like that.
We'll just buy some land in Michigan. It'd be fine.
Yeah, we'll be good.
Look at all that land up in Canada that's just cold. Move up there. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be a nice temperate area to play in soon. So, okay. So we've got the FC. They can't take the FC away from us. They can only put it on hiatus. I'd say they put it on ice, but whatever this is not that. Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
No, we're still in second place in the East. Okay. Things are still okay. We've got transfer rumors abound. There's been a couple of twists and turns in the back from the dead, the zombie rumor that is Thomas Muller. There's more smoke around LAFC apparently being a destination for him. And then was it Jonathan Tannenwald, I think, was on this one, saying that in the recent days, the Philadelphia Union were approached by Muller's team about a potential move to Philadelphia. And the salary demands were $8 to $10 million, something like that.
Yeah, $8 to $10 million, and Philly kind of laughed him out of the room.
8 to 10 million would be more, I think, than Philly has spent combined buying players in the team's history.
The range of 8 to 10 million, like the difference between 8 million and 10 million, $2 million would be basically Philly's record salary.
Yes. In what record transfer fee, which was this year, right? It was a guy from Uruguay.
Yep.
For like $2 million.
Yeah.
We're on agreement. We're on agreement that what they did, this is just his people reached out to the team that's at the top of MLS to see if they would be interested in making an addition, right? There's no way they did any research about Philadelphia Union as a club before doing this.
Or his people know Ernst Tanner, because Ernst Tanner came from, Red Bull and Bundesliga background over there. So there could be
yes,
there could be a connection there. But I think basically, yeah. I mean, it sounds like MLS teams aren't biting at the $8 to $10 million salary range.
We would be hearing more if they were. Yeah.
I mean, if LAFC was offering him $10 million in salary, I assume Tom Bogert would be reporting that deal is done already.
Yeah, Philadelphia wouldn't have ever come up. Cincinnati's name wouldn't have been brought up again. Yeah. It is very funny.
What did Giroud get to go to LAFC? Like, he's on a DP deal, right?
He's definitely on a DP deal. He came over from Milan. What is he making? Probably $6 million?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, that's $10 million's aggressive I know Muller is like an all-time great, but that's an aggressive ask for a dude.
Giroud is on 2.8 base salary, 3.6 guaranteed compensation.
Okay.
Wow. Look, I know Muller is a way better player than Olivier Giroud is in terms of pedigree, history at club team. I don't know,
man.
I don't know that
4 to 5x.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Like, he's not worth like 4 times what Olivier Giroud is making, especially at his age, where, all these guys that are that old, they're like one bad plant away from being gone for the remainder of their contract in MLS.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Here, I guess if you want to look at base salary or guaranteed comp, here's who's making above 8 in MLS at guaranteed comp.
Give us the who's who here.
Lionel Messi.
All right, I heard of him.
Lorenzo Insigne, which throw that deal out the window.
Right, that's insane. Yeah, that's right. That's the Deshaun Watson of MLS contracts right there.
Like every time an agent, you want to talk to a Euro player's agent on a deal, they're going to look at Lorenzo Insigne, and you have to just tell them straight ahead, you can't look at Lorenzo Insigne.
It doesn't count. Or if it does, go get your deal from Toronto, not us.
Right. Yeah, go to Toronto. Yeah. Sergio Busquets at 8.7.
Okay.
And that's it. Now
Bernadeschi doesn't even crack that.
No, Bernadeschi, he's 3.1 base salary and 6.2 guaranteed comp.
Wow.
I know that they have a big both Bernadeschi and Insigne have like a big like marketing bonus.
Right. Okay.
That originally hadn't been reported as part of their salaries, and then they threw a fit that it had to be reported as part of their salaries. Whatever. And I do want to. I guess I'll add that that this is as of September 2024.
Correct.
Because the MLS Players Association hasn't released salaries for this year yet. And nobody's commented on it as far as I could tell.
The one piece of information I have is Tom Bogert, when asked about it, said that he heard that they were releasing it mid-June. I think we are past mid-June at this point.
Okay, great. But if you want to look at the base salary level and last year, I mean, nobody was above 8 except for Busquets and Messi.
Wow.
Forsberg was at 5.4.
Okay.
Hector Herrera was at 4.7.
Comparable players.
Driussi was at 4.5. Benteke 4.2. Ricky Puig 4.
Okay. Probably around Acosta was there at 4.
Yeah, I mean, 8 to 10 is tough to get in this league.
It's crazy.
It's gettable like, for some people. It's very tough to get for nearly anybody. I mean,
yeah, and I understand that to a certain extent. If you're going to sign Thomas Muller as a DP, you're signing Thomas Muller as a DP. Money really doesn't matter. It's not like it's hurting your salary cap or anything like that. But if you're a GM, that's a tough ask of your ownership to say, we are breaking the bank to sign a 38-year-old player.
He's not the type of player to take over a game and win a game himself. He's a very sublime, dare I say, Evander-esque player where like what he is amazing at is in the details. I'll also say, how long has it been since Muller has been on a bad team? He has played on Bayern his entire career, I think. I think he came up in their academy. Yep. I may be fuzzy on the details here, but he has been surrounded by a top 5 team in the world his entire career and plays for one of the top national teams, if not the number 1 national team over the time when he was involved on average. Like, I don't know what he's going to do with a team with a Nick Hagland and a Brian Anunga and an angle passing to. Look, I'm just saying. As far as I'm concerned,
he's never played with a Nick Hagland before, and we don't truly know what Muller is capable of until he plays with a Nick Hagland.
I agree with that. I just think also, there's pretty much a clear trend of how salaries are coalescing for top players. And, Messi and Busquets are exceptions. Insigne, it is, absurd. That is what it is.
Right.
But I expect MLS, broadly, because it's not just up to the team. I expect MLS owners broadly would take some convincing to approve a contract for Thomas Muller that was 8 to 10 million on salary, because it's going to impact expectations for anybody who wants to sign with this league. I mean, it's like look at what happened to Premier League transfer fees.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like their expectations for transfer fees for even like mid players in the Premier League are just through the roof. And everybody who every team in that league is going to has to pay a premium. And MLS probably already feels like they pay a premium on salary and transfer fee, just not like to the same degree,
And Saudi Arabia probably plays a role in that, since Saudi Arabia, I think in some ways is seen in similar light to MLS, where a lot of these guys see names that they know going to MLS and going to Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia, I think deeper pockets, but in particular with the big names, they've been willing to shell out for guys in, say, handing out more Insigne level contracts to more Insigne level players in Saudi Arabia. But you also, like, I guess the only way I could maybe see this happening is if they gave a similar deal to Mueller and whoever it is, as they did to Messi, but like maybe if, you know, that team or he gets paid some percentage of MLS season pass signups in Germany or something.
He's not that guy. That's
He's
the problem.
not. He's
is
not.
that there's
Yeah.
that deal is a deal that is unique to Messi, and the only person who could probably get that deal is Ronaldo.
Right.
And it's just because they are so popular
Yeah.
and so household namey around the world, and it's agnostic to country, it's agnostic to background.
Right.
You know, Muller's a great player, but you know, he's a star, but it's like he's not a capital S star the way Messi and Ronaldo are. He'd be a good feather in the cap for the league, but I don't think they view this the same way that they view Messi. I know they don't view it the same way. The other thing too is that, not for nothing, to your point about approving contracts, the league has tried real hard to shed this image of a retirement league, and I think that the prevailing sentiment would be, if you're going to spend 8 to 10 million on salary for a player, go be more ambitious with getting someone that's younger and someone that's moving the needle, as opposed to an aging Euro star who, number one, is no guarantee to perform to that level, as we've seen with the aforementioned Olivier Giroud, and number two, doesn't help change the perception of this league for the better.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
Right. Go pull the next Ricky Pooch.
Yes.
Right. Get a player in his early 20s who's in a big team and getting regular minutes.
Yes. That makes way more sense. It's also just like, maybe there's a world where like Neymar came over for 10 million and De Bruyne came over for 8 million. And then there's like a new market for these guys coming over. But neither one of those moves happened. And it does sort of look like they all got outbid. So, you know, in MLS looking abroad. So, yeah, like if you want to go make $10 million, go find a team in Serie A that wants to pay you, Mueller. Like, you know, go do something like that.
And the thing, too, is that like the other reason why it doesn't make sense is, at the end of the day, in order to do this, you have to sacrifice one of your 3 DP spots on this. And it's not just the 8 to 10 million. It's, for the way the game is played in this league, you probably want someone younger and more dynamic in that spot. God. Even if, like, Mueller is a value add that puts to me, at this point in his career, he puts a great team over the top and makes them favorites to win a cup, or he pushes a very good team into great category. And if you are that team, you've probably already got at least 2 designated players, and you've either made the call that you need that extra gam to round out the rest of your roster, or you're already on 3 DPs at that point. Like, I don't see a world where a team that has an open DP slot and isn't committed to the U22 extra gam model has availability for a Thomas Mueller. I don't know who this team is that has that room.
So you know who has room for a DP?
It's exactly,
and absolutely should pay Thomas Mueller $8 to $10 million.
I know exactly where you're going. I was about to bring him up.
Columbus Crew.
The Columbus Crew, of course. I was going to bring
solves all of their problems.
I was going to ask, though, if you are Columbus Crew in the abstract, wouldn't you rather have a Lucho Acosta or Ricky Puig versus Thomas Mueller, though? Because that's the amount of money we're talking about.
I mean, I would, just if you're, you know, Nancy's going to run a system. And it seems to me that I don't know that Nancy needs great players. Nancy needs players that fit his system and fit what he's going to do. I don't know if I was him, I would want to bring in a Mueller. I would want to bring in somebody that's younger, that's, you know, going to be more active in the press, going to be more active, you know, running and playing with the ball. I think that, I don't know that they want to get older.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, If they do it, I hope it fails, and I hope they don't do it. So there you go.
With that news, though, we had said, 10%. I'm down to like 1. I don't think there's any reality where FC Cincinnati pays that much money on the back of already having paid as much money as they have this year for Denke and Evander to shell out $8 to $10 million in salary alone for Thomas Muller.
Yeah,
especially on you need to make him at least a 2 to 3 year commitment. I don't think he's coming for a 1 year deal.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, yeah, but maybe there's an argument for a 1 year, $5 million thing just to get that push over the edge for a trophy. And before we go to the preview, Ender Echenike does appear to be about as official as you can. It is now being picked up by Tom Bogert.
Carter mentioned it too. Like that was interesting to me.
Yeah,
that I don't think we've ever had a situation that I can recall where any person associated with a team has talked about a player, even theoretically, prior to the, is all for Cincy announcement.
Yeah, right. So just
Which
a matter
is good.
of.
I love that. Like it's the 24/7 news cycle. It's the information age. We don't need to have like this big, we can't talk about this till we get our big reveal on social media. Just
right. Also, can I do say this for the FC fans? I saw this post on Reddit. I've seen other people mention this. You can't say it's officially official when Tom Bogert posts about it. Guys,
I agree.
Officially official is when the club makes the announcement. You can say it is Bogert official, or you can say it is confirmed by well-regarded journalists, or some other phrasing.
Right.
You can't say officially official. That's the exact phrase I'm objecting to.
That's some spec on Tom Bogert's name, though. When we're saying that he's the designee of officially official.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is it's like not any disrespect to Tom Bogert.
Correct.
To say that it's not officially official, because officially official means the team put out their release. Like, I think it's extremely reliable.
Yes.
And I would say confirmed.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And
I would talk about it as if it's a done deal. Yes.
You could talk about it as if it's a done deal. Exactly. Absolutely.
But no, if
not officially official.
If in the NFL something was reported by Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport, I would deem that to be an official deal. Like, that is official now at this point. Because they're never wrong. Like, they're never wrong.
Schefter's wrong sometimes.
Schefter has been wrong sometimes. I'll say Bogert has been wrong sometimes, very rarely, but he will say, and as any good journalist should, he will couch it with sources are telling me this is done. And then he can come back later and say that source was wrong or something changed. So again, officially official. That's the phrase that gets it. Now, if you're using it sarcastically, now we're getting into a whole nother realm of things. But yes, I saw a couple of people mention that. It's like, well, no. So,
I've seen that tagged with other journalists too.
Yeah,
and it's semantics.
So we're just going to call it's Tom Fischel then, not official.
I am
sure. Tom Fischel sounds great.
With Tom Fischel. He should brand that in some way for sure.
Tom Fischel.
Should we talk about the match this Wednesday? We have a match to talk about. How exciting is that for FC Cincinnati news? Finally. It is funny though. And Chief, as you are now our Club World Cup ambassador here.
Yes.
It's funny that we've gone huge stretches without any games, and now we get a Wednesday-Saturday game. Like, this couldn't be a Saturday game or a Wednesday.
No, but like we'll touch on it on the World's Game. But like flowers to MLS for taking this weekend off. Like, it's historically the league has played through or given teams the option to play through some international windows. I'm very happy that it took this entire weekend off, and but it is annoying that now we're
Wednesday,
scrambling. Saturday, and we have to start talking about like rotation and minutes restrictions and all this nonsense that doesn't need to happen.
Right. And that is the annoying thing, is like the team will be off. They'll play what I'll assume is the most first choice available team they can on Wednesday. And then, now we're forced into like awkward conversations for Saturday, even though they haven't been playing for 2 weeks.
Damn it.
So,
I love this league so much.
Montreal on the road, 7:30.
If you're a ball knower, you got to pronounce it like you're actually from Canada. It's Montreal. It's with a U for anyone that's from Canada.
I appreciate that note.
Montreal.
Stade Saputo, which I love.
Stade Saputo.
Stade Saputo. I love a stadium named after an owner. That's really good.
Yeah, it's not egotistical at all.
And I'm sure, like Paul Brown Stadium, it is actually named after somebody's father or something.
No, I think it's actually named after this dude. Actually,
good.
Yeah. So this is the point in the episode where I bitch that I believe this is now the second or third year in a row that Montreal is a weekday game.
Oh my God.
This is like the most no-brainer away day that I want to do. We play these jokers every year.
Yes.
And I think like 2021, Canada still had they weren't letting fans in, or they were playing in Florida, I think, for the majority of the year. We played them in Florida, I think.
Yes.
Then in 22, it was a Wednesday. Like in 23, it was a Wednesday. And last year, I think it was a Wednesday as well. I don't think we've had a true weekend in Montreal. At least like 3 or 4 years. And this is pissing me off actively now.
2019 might have been the last time this game.
I'm going to look this up. This is nonsense, and I'm actively angry about this.
So I'm pretty sure that the FCC3 one year was on the same day as the Montreal away game. It probably was 2021.
So that would have been the last time, maybe?
Yeah.
May 22nd, 2021, that game was in Fort Lauderdale. Okay, here it is. July 17th, 2021, Montreal hosted in Montreal. 5-4 was the final.
It was a Nancy special right there.
Yeah, that was a crazy one. After that, 2022... was a Saturday. Chief.
Am I misremembering this?
We're poking holes in the theory in real time.
That's all right.
Saturday. Okay, so 2023 was definitely on a Wednesday. 2024. Oh no, Chief.
It was on a Saturday? Was it?
Saturday, April 13th, 2024.
We lost last year though, didn't we?
We lost 2-1.
Yeah.
It was
Joseph Martinez.
Stade Saputo. Damn. But you know what, Chief? Speak your truth. All right. I feel this. I'm with you.
Montreal's a great city.
Yes.
Montreal is a phenomenal city to visit if you've never been before. Just absolutely gorgeous. It has a very European vibe to it because everyone's speaking French, and the old town definitely feels like walking through a, old style European downtown area. Great food, just really, really cool, neat things to do. Museums. Yeah. Very cool.
From afar, I am a huge fan of their metro. I'm sure if I had to live it every day, I would have my complaints. But from a distance, they seem to appear to have beautiful stations. They are also one of the only metros outside of Europe. This is, of course, their attempt to be European, that uses rubber wheels instead of like electric tracks like they do in New York and many other places. They use rubber wheels to get around.
See, I wrote it and I don't even recall that.
Apparently, it's quieter and a smoother ride, but of course you burn through the tires.
You have to change tires. Yeah, you can take their subway all the way to the games.
Ooh.
The station is within a 2-3 block walk of their place because the Stade Saputo up there is right next to the old Olympic Stadium where the Expos used to play. You can see it in the background when you're at their stadium.
And what Olympic Stadium has like some issues, right? Because Montreal used to play their early games there. In fact, they hosted the CCL final there back in 2015, 2016. And now they don't do that anymore. Like they had like a 10-game road stretch to start this season. So I think there's something up with that stadium.
I think Montreal made the CCL final?
Yes, in like 2015. Isn't that wild?
Oh, wow. Okay.
I got to look that up now.
I didn't know that this league existed
Right?
in 2015.
American soccer came into being in 2016, as far as I'm concerned. It's too bad the team stinks because it seems like a cool fan base. It seems like it would be it seems like people would be really into it. They are really into it up there. But what you have a look of triumph now.
2015 CONCACAF Champions League final, Montreal Impact, Club America. This is where it was cool. In the first leg, in the Azteca, 1-1. They went back to Montreal, held it in the Olympic Stadium. 61,000 people turned up to watch them lose 4-2.
Oh, that's brutal.
Was Drogba on that team?
Oh, good question.
I don't think so. I don't think
Evan
Drogba
Bush
got the.
was on that team. No, that was Piatti. Was
Okay.
their big guy at number 10. Any other names? Lawrence Simon was on that team.
Oh, yeah.
Frank Kloppus coached the team. And Dilly Duca was in the midfield. I don't know. That was about the one name I noticed.
Dilly Duca. I think he was on Concafa.
Oh,
I could
was
be
he
wrong.
really?
I could be
The
wrong.
TSD.
I could be wrong about that. Oh yeah. So this team sucks.
Yes.
So they might beat us
They did win their last match,
Yeah.
I think 3-1.
over. I think Houston.
Yeah. Prince Owusu is pretty good. Like he's their striker. He's
yes.
starting to heat up a little bit this year.
Yeah.
So
Man, they have a very similar sort of team form to us, whereas they won their last game, but it had not been great before that.
They're the worst team in the East, maybe worst team in the league. We'll see.
Yeah.
they were trading that title with Galaxy for a while. -18 goal differential. They're not good.
Yeah. So we have Orlando on Saturday, right?
Correct.
Yes.
So we're probably looking at another, rotate in Canada situation, right?
Ooh.
I would think you've got the first team out there for this. Go get your points while you can.
What is the first team?
Great question.
First team? I'm thinking. I think you'll see the back line. I think it'll be Flores. Miles is still out, so Flores, Miazga, and Engel on the back line. Orishano out on the left. Yedlin out on the right. Midfield, Buka, Evander, and Waboto. Striker, Sergio Santos, and Kevin Denke, I would think.
That
I wouldn't be
feels like the first team right now. I agree.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised in this match if you see a later on in the match. I think you'll see Kubo get some of his first minutes back. He's back training with the full team as of this week. So I think that they'll get Kubo some minutes late in this game.
Was Teenage hurt in the last one and that's why he didn't play? Or was that a healthy? No. Okay.
I think he's a healthy drop at this point.
Wow. All right.
So that might be the only is that Teenage may play instead of Engel, but I think they like the idea of having Engel on the field.
I mean, we looked very good, I would say, against New England. Again, it's a very good defense. They apparently, as we talked about, tweaked the tactics going into that New England Revolution game. I would assume. Hey, their words, not ours. Okay. And I would assume that what they rolled out there is what they're going to continue to roll out until they are forced to go back to the drawing board. So yeah, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't roll out the exact same team, with the one exception, Chief, of your point. Santos was out with a knock. You'd put him in over Kamara. That makes sense.
You know what the funny thing is? I don't know what rotation looks like for this team. So, like, if you're going to rotate in Orlando, Santos, like Kai Kamara in place of Santos, probably. And then you put Orishano back over on the other side, on the right-hand side, move Engel out wide on the left. And then your back line is Teenage, Miazga, and Flores. There's no one to replace Buka. Like, they don't have anyone that can do that.
Maybe Powell sneaks in there, Anunga for Wobodo, and yeah, that might be it.
Yeah, I mean, there's just like there's no real backups anywhere. I mean, maybe if Kubo could go a full 90, but I don't think that they're going to throw him out there for 90 for a while. It's going to be a couple of matches of him getting substitute minutes before I think they're going to be able to trust him to go a full.
Or does he do 45 minutes in Montreal and then 60 minutes in place of Buka against Orlando? And we consider that the rotation. And Buka comes in for a half an hour.
Maybe.
Does Dado get more or less than 9 minutes across both of these games combined?
I think he'll get more. He'll get more.
For whom? Where's he coming in?
It wouldn't surprise me if he gets minutes coming in for Evander at some point in one of these games. It also wouldn't surprise me if he gets minutes coming in late. In place of someone like Wobodo.
Okay.
To like be more, if you're chasing a match or looking for a result or looking for a goal at some point to make like a more offensive lineup. But I think the problem with your boy here is I don't think there's a natural fit for him in this Pat Noonan offense, because I don't think they view him as a striker. And I don't know that who you're pulling off the field to get him on if he's not the other striker, if they don't see him as the other striker next to Denke.
Yeah. This is going to break my heart to say this out loud. Is Dado trade bait right now?
I don't know that he has enough value. He's been hot for a little bit, but I don't know that there's, for what he's making for this team, I don't know that who's going to offer on him? And what are you going to get for him? And if you're only going to get like 100,000 GAM for him, it's not worth it, I don't think.
If you could replace him with a U22, if you could get 150,000 GAM for him, that seems reasonable. It'll break my heart, to be clear. I may just quit this podcast and start
I think it's premature.
Podcast.
I think it's premature to be on Dado trade watch.
I'd agree.
If this is win now and he doesn't have a spot in this team, I'd see what assets you could get. But
I don't know.
Montreal plays 2 center backs, right?
I believe so.
Then I guess he won't play against Montreal because Noonan said, 2-man back line is better for
the big boys.
That's Corey Baird time.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so Dado's never playing again for this team.
Yeah.
Got it.
Everyone's going to start playing, with two center backs just to keep Dado off the field. Yeah. Teams are terrified of Dado.
Ooh.
We're going to lead the league in theoretical offensive talent between him and Stefan Chirilla, where it's like, you don't understand. We've got these guys. They can't make the field, but watch out when they do.
Maybe we trade Dado to Montreal. We just leave him there.
Yeah, just leave him.
We just get someone else back.
Like leave him something to fill his papers out with. Just be like, all right, let us know how this works out for you.
I'm gonna butcher his last name here. Samuel Piet.
I think Piet.
Yeah, perfect. That's exactly what we need. 30-year-old MLS journeyman. Bring him in. Canadian international. I bet he's not even on the team right now. Bring him in.
All right.
Predictions. What do we got?
I don't have any idea. I don't know what to expect from this team. 1-1. I have no idea.
Oh.
I'm going 2-0 to the FC.
Wow.
And we treat it like it was 6-0.
It's not going to take much. 2-0 would be winning a game by more than 1 goal. Like, don't print banners up for the next home game for this.
We're going to have to adjust that stat. FC Cincinnati doesn't beat teams by more than 1 goal unless they're Canadian. That is the caveat. I will say 1-0 for the FC, but it's a good 1-0. Not unlike the New England game. We like it. It's a nice 1-0. Right. So there you go.
There you go.
All right. Now we're going to head on over to part 2. Now, for postcast listeners, and that's you right now. This next portion here is also going to drop into the World's Game feed on the same time on Monday. There's going to be a bonus bit going onto the World's Game. But for you, you don't even have to switch feeds. You're going to get it right here in the postcast feed. But for everybody else, they're going to hear this on the World's Game. So enjoy this. Have fun with this. We're going to talk about the Club World Cup, okay? A bunch of exciting matches happened over the weekend. We're going to talk about it. Chief had some up close and personal encounters with the Club World Cup. It's going to be a blast. We're heading on over to part 2. Okay, we are here with some special Club World Cup talk. That's right. I've got the Chief and I've got Grayson here with me, and we are ready to dive into these matches. Because look, MLS has gone on this break for the Gold Cup, for all the other competitions going on, and the Club World Cup has, I'll speak for everybody here, has stolen our hearts a little bit. I think we've come to love this tournament. Chief, it is my understanding that you had quite the experience with the Club World Cup this weekend. How did that treat you?
It was the magic of the world's game, if you will.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had gone previously to the Bayern Munich Auckland City match. Just a chance to see Bayern. It's not something that happens every day here in our little neck of the woods in the United States of America. But there were multiple matches being hosted in our fair city. And as luck would have it, on Friday, I was out just, living life, running some errands, and I bumped into a bunch of people that had flown in from South Africa to attend the match between the Mamelodi Sundowns FC and Borussia Dortmund. And they were really, really cool. Like, they had come over, like, it was a big group. Some had come from South Africa. A couple had come from, I think, Chicago, met here in Cincinnati. And they were so hyped about this team. I was like, you know what? I'll show up at the match on Saturday and I'll root you guys on too. Why not? And they were very excited about that. And so I went to the game. I bought myself a kit at the overpriced FIFA team store, and I became a Sundowns supporter from the South African Premiership, eight-time consecutive league champions.
Wow.
The Sundowns. And they put up a hell of a fight against Borussia Dortmund in this match. Wildly entertaining. Their nickname is the Brazilians because of the high possession, high energy, tiki-taka style that they play with. That's very, very entertaining to watch. This little team from South Africa, I think, led possession in this match like 60-30, 60-40.
Wow.
Hung 3, sadly gave up 4.
Oh,
but I declared myself a fan online, and boy, did South African Twitter hop on that immediately.
I saw the club was tweeting at you, and all of their fans quote tweeting saying like, this club is global.
Yeah. Like I got people in the replies from TV stations in Pretoria and stuff like that. Like added 400 to the follower count. Like, it's just like, what is going on here? And what I realized is, number one, the response was overwhelmingly positive. Like, it was not like, hey, plastic, this is our club, stay away from it, you American imperialists. None of that. They were all just thrilled we were paying attention to them. I think I got to run with this now. I think I have to become really do have to become a fan of this team. I think I could pick a worse team to be involved with. They're very fun to watch. They're very fast. They actually possess the ball effectively, which is something I'm not used to watching here in MLS with my team. So you know what? Why not? I am a Sundowns man now. I am a Sundowns supporter. Their fan base was overwhelmingly positive. They were dancing in the heat and singing in the heat, like oppressive heat during this match. They won me over. They won my heart over with this, and I'm in. I love this tournament.
I so glad you decided to join their fan base now, because right before this tournament, they suffered absolute heartbreak in the African Champions League final to Pyramids. So you picked a good time to jump in. Chief, I am trying to quickly search here. I have no idea who owns the
We don't need to talk about that.
TV rights.
Oh, no, TV rights.
I don't care. I don't
want
the
to know
owner
who
of the
owns
team.
this team.
No,
I don't want to know anything about the people that own teams that I'm a fan of. The less I know about who owns these teams, the better.
I'm pretty sure that the TV rights in the U.S. belong to r/soccer streams.
Yeah,
that's
it belongs
right.
it belongs to NordVPN. I think is who it belongs to for me.
Oh, perfect. And Chief, correct me if I'm wrong. They are in a win and they're in situation.
Win and they're in. The results could have gone a little bit better for them in Group F, but right now sitting on 3 points. They've got a big match on Wednesday against Fluminense.
Yeah,
win and they're in. What else could you ask for my lifelong club, Mamelodi Sundowns? I was the one that wanted to drop this as like an extra episode from this weekend's matches. There's some great matches over the weekend, but I love this tournament, man. Like, this tournament has been so much fun. And I think part of the reason why I personally have really taken to this tournament is for exactly this reason. In that, don't get me wrong, I love the World Cup. Everybody loves the World Cup. World Cup is great. But when it comes to stories in the World Cup and narratives that come out of the World Cup, you can have a team that plays their heart out in the World Cup, an underdog story that somehow manages to get out of group, wins a match in knockout stage. It can be whatever country you want. Here's the thing. I'm never going to be a fan of some other country because I've got my own country.
Right.
Like, I'm from the United States. I'm not going to all of a sudden become a diehard supporter of, Mali. Like, that would just be weird if, like, you all of a sudden adopted another national team as yours because, like, they were fun to watch. That's strange. But you tell me I can pick up a club from another league on another continent whose fans seem awesome, that play an attractive style of soccer. Yeah, I can add another club to the portfolio of teams I keep tabs on, that I watch, that, like, I care about. You can do that when you find a club that plays in another league, in another part of the world. We all do it anyway with, like, Premier League clubs or Bundesliga clubs. Why not find a club in the Brazilian league that you're enjoying watching and follow them? Or, in my case, in the South African league. That's the cool part of this, is that there is nothing stopping you from having another club out there that you're following, that you can find and that you can experience through watching a tournament like this when they might otherwise never come across your radar. And the other thing that I've loved about this tournament is that, so when you have the regular World Cup, they talk about, you see other countries and, like, the traditions and how football works in other countries and how the fans work. And you get to experience how different fan bases treat internationally their international team. The Club World Cup is a level down even more niche than that. You're talking about cities and neighborhoods and communities, and they are bringing the traditions of their individual pocket of their city to the global stage. And, like, you think about, like, here in the United States, like, we're a country of 300 plus million people with so many different cultures and so many different, backgrounds and regions. Like, there is nothing that, like, you can poke, like, what makes an American soccer fan other than, like, a self-loathing concept,
right,
and a wish that we were better than we really were. But, like, if you ask that question, what makes a New York Red Bulls supporter, or like an FC Cincinnati supporter, or even like a Chicago Fire, like, every different city has, like, their own unique subculture when it comes to this sport. And elevating just that individual little subculture has been so cool on a level that, national fan base pictures don't fully paint, I think.
Yeah, and it's just the promise of what we have always wanted I think, anyway, from the sport, which is like the best teams playing each other. There's no reason why we have to pretend like it is impossible to imagine a world where Botafogo and PSG may play each other. Oh, could you only imagine? Nah, man, we live in the future. We can schedule that. Yes, we can make that happen right now. Like, again, like I think I made this point on the last World Scam of like, yeah, in the 1950s, it would have been really difficult to get a Korean team, a Brazilian team, an Italian team, and Ethiopian team all in the same tournament. Like that takes like years of logistics and planning. And now you can get like most of these teams like a month's heads up and it would not really be an issue. And so I don't see any reason why we can't have an expanded every 4-year Club World Cup tournament. I love having these matchups that you could only do on paper or in video games before. And now we get to see it. And I got to say, Europe has, definitely done well in this tournament. I think has lost a little bit of the shine on it. I don't know, Grayson, did you pick that up from this weekend's matches?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody is coming away from these matches. And you're talking about how, in particular, some European teams have lost to some Brazilian teams or had trouble with Brazilian teams, and I think Monterrey tied Inter. Did I get that right?
Am I missing that from the? I believe completely missing it.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah.
And so, these are the European big dogs. They're not just coming in and waltzing over the competition.
Right.
And I don't think anybody's coming away from these thinking, oh, the Brazilian league is as good as the Premier League, or these teams are, Flamengo is better than Chelsea, although like they were better than Chelsea on the day pretty convincingly. Right. And so I think that what it's revealing is that the difference between the top European teams and some of the top teams from other regions is not as big as we tend to believe or are led to believe. And there's been some excuses made for why the European performance hasn't been as dominant as it should be on paper. And most of those excuses, man, you could miss me with.
Right.
It's hot out, Grayson. I don't know if you heard that, but it's pretty warm in the US.
Yeah, I mean, they said like one of them is European teams are coming off of a long season and they're fatigued. Mamelodi Sundowns is coming off of a long season and they're probably fatigued, and they still ran with Dortmund that whole game.
It ran by them, for majority of the game.
That's never an excuse at the World Cup. It's never France and Spain are struggling because all of their players just played full seasons in Europe.
No, it's stupid. So maybe the best way to go at this is, so we've got groups obviously that are here. Let's start with the groups that have MLS teams in them. And then after we hit those groups, we'll hit the remainder of the groups. Everyone has played 2 matches now at this point. So we're basically headed towards decision week, for lack of a better phrasing, to see who goes through to the knockouts. I think as we're recording this, the only match that hasn't concluded is Manchester City and Al Ahly, and City just scored again, so they're up 3-0. I think that game is pretty done and dusted at this point.
Yeah, I'm going to say that one's over.
So let's start with Group A, which has the only MLS team that has won a match in this tournament. That's Inter Miami. The team that I saw people complaining didn't achieve their result on sporting merit, which, by the way, if anyone uses the phrase sporting merit online, that's just like an instant block. Like your shtick is way too transparent, and I'm not going to engage with you.
They didn't win anything to qualify.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Yep.
Just for the record, Canada, Mexico, and the United States also did not win anything to qualify for the World Cup next year. So go ahead and equally asterisk all of their results as well.
Right. Sporting merit there. So as it sits right here, Inter is sitting in second place, tied on points with Palermo. Is that right?
Palmeiras.
Sorry.
I never get to pronounce things correctly. I was excited.
That's exciting. FC Porto and Al Ahly both down with 1 point. Inter got the big win over Porto, which, fair play to Inter Miami, man.
Yeah.
Like that's huge. And I think that there were some genuine questions going into this about MLS teams as to whether or not they'd win any games. There is now the very potential for a very real possibility that Inter Miami will go through to the knockouts. Any result other than a loss sends them through. I think they could even still get through with a loss, depending on how results go otherwise. But
yeah,
this is great. This is like, I felt really dirty rooting for Inter Miami, like getting excited when they scored. I had like this deep shame that I shouldn't be supporting this and being happy about it. But man, this tournament has turned me into a North and South America stan like nothing I have ever experienced before.
So to that end, Chief, please, if somebody knows this better than me, correct me. I believe, unlike most knockout tournaments or certainly the World Cup, the first tiebreaker in the groups is head-to-head results. So Inter Miami is in a great spot because I would assume
they have the head-to-head with Porto now at this point.
Yeah, so I would say Porto is the favorite over Al Ahly. So even if Miami were to take a beating against Palmeiras, so long as Porto wins or that game ends in a draw, they will get through unscathed. Now there is the funny possibility of Palmeiras and Inter Miami. A handshake gentleman's draw, make sure everybody gets through without any issues.
It would be very difficult, I think, not very difficult, but so if Porto wins against Al Ahly,
yeah,
Miami's through.
I think that's my read on it as well. Yes.
Yeah. I think the only way Miami does,
because Palmeiras and Porto tied. Palmeiras would have a win over Miami. Miami would have a win over Porto.
So they would be tied on points. So I think the first tiebreaker is that initial head-to-head. So they would, Inter Miami and Porto would both be on 4. And therefore,
you're right.
Miami
There wouldn't be a 3-way tie.
Yeah, because Palmeiras in that situation,
so
Palmeiras would be up to 7.
If El Porto wins, Miami's through regardless. If Al Ahly wins and Miami loses, you could see goal difference.
Yes,
getting there.
Then you start seeing some wackiness. Yeah.
It is interesting though, and this is
but Miami's +3 over Al Ahly on goal difference currently.
Nice.
Yeah. The interesting thing about Inter Miami's position here is it brings up a bigger issue, I think, for MLS clubs that applies equally to all three, but maybe to a lesser extent Miami and LAFC than Seattle Sounders, which is that the way that qualification works for the Club World Cup is that you qualify over the period of the years leading up to the tournament. So the previous, 4 years, 3 years is what forms the basis for you qualifying for the Club World Cup. And what's tough about that for especially MLS teams is that you take a team like Inter Miami, they qualified for this by virtue of winning Supporters Shield last year.
Kind of.
Like that's what they said, but like they wanted Messi in this tournament. I get it. But like they qualified on the basis basically of having this team that they have right now. LAFC qualified on the basis of some convoluted computer program, and then they beat Club America. So they kind of earned their way into the tournament. Seattle qualified based on something they did years ago.
Right.
And so the team they're bringing to the Club World Cup bears little to no resemblance to the team that actually qualified for the Club World Cup. And in a league like MLS, where there is so much of a focus on parity and rosters turn over so much, it's always going to be difficult, I think, for a MLS team, unless you qualify legitimately by winning Champions League the year before that year, and then immediately taking that same team into Club World Cup. I think it's going to be very difficult for MLS to ever, outside of hosting this tournament and getting like an exemption for a team like Inter Miami, I think it's going to be really difficult for an MLS team to ever hold a team together long enough at a high enough level to come into Club World Cup anything other than just the most massive underdog in these tournaments.
Yeah, or get extremely lucky by being grouped in with an Auckland City and maybe another, team that got blown apart, say out of Asia, after they won their Champions League 3 years ago, right? Like that's really the only shot at this. Yeah, maybe. Obviously, we can all think of a million ways that MLS can and should update their roster rules. They did, just for this year, come up with a prize pool for qualifying for the Club World Cup. Maybe going forward, teams can access that pot of money earlier. So maybe that helps them acquire talent a year or two ahead of time, knowing that they will have this tournament coming up. I don't know, but
I don't know. But the problem is that anything you do to help a team in the Club World Cup, then just like horridly imbalances the upcoming MLS year that it's happening in. And a one year jump. The way MLS computes salaries and the way MLS computes its salary cap, just getting more money for 1 year, it can lead you into some more problems than it's worth, as we've seen with a lot of these expansion sides, that once you blow through your extra tricky Don fun bucks, then the wheels fall off a lot of these teams.
Yeah, before the cash furs came in, I would have said your best use for that extra $2 million in GAM would be for an intra-league trade to acquire a piece to then, fit comfortably in your salary cap. But yeah, I feel like even that is getting a little trickier with teams. If you've got a player you're willing to move for $2 million in GAM, there's another team that might be willing to do that same deal for $3 or $4 million in cash. And your ownership may prefer that deal over the GAM deal. So I agree with you. It's going to be tricky. Or the other side of it is, it isn't tricky, and the Club World Cup goes a long way to creating a haves and have-nots within MLS, which you have certainly seen the UEFA Champions League produce in Europe, and similar results around the world. So maybe the downside of all of this.
So Group A, as we sit right here, as we record, do we think Inter Miami is getting out of this group? I think yes.
I think yes. I think the smart money, the intelligent bet would be Miami and Palmeiras getting through this group.
That's big. For MLS to take a team to the round of 16 in this tournament, that's a feather in the cap. I think the league that's a good sign for the league. I think if you're a fan,
it's a very good sign. I will say, for what it's worth, horrible sign for Al Ahly. Like, that is one of the giants of Africa. Terrible look if they finish bottom of that group. Tough group for all of the teams, really, given how Miami played. But man, rough look.
Group B, that would be the Seattle Sounders group right here.
Not
Seattle. Seattle. Good, God bless you. You know what? Your MLS royalty. You made it. You got drafted into a league with Botafogo, PSG, and Madrid. Like, Atletico, I don't know what you do, man. Like, that's one where you tell everyone, just, give it the old college try and let's see what happens here.
It is very funny to think, though, that Botafogo, if they beat Atletico Madrid, and if Seattle Sounders were to pull the ultimate upset and beat PSG, it'd be a 3-way tie for second on 3 points, which could be very funny for Seattle. I don't think they qualify even in that scenario, given how all of their other matches went. But it would be very funny to say that they tied PSG on points and, of course, beat them head to head.
Right. So, is there any way through for Seattle, even if they scored 20 goals? I don't think so, because they've already lost to Who have they lost? They lost to Botafogo.
Madrid and Botafogo.
They lost
Yeah.
at Atletico Madrid and Botafogo.
Yes, they're probably done.
I think they have already officially been eliminated. So
Yeah.
even a 10-0 win doesn't get them through.
Scored a couple of goals, though. That's awesome. That's more we can say for, some MLS sides we're going to talk about here in a second.
I thought they looked very good against Botafogo. And then Botafogo went out and beat PSG in one of the games of the tournament. And I think transitive property, Seattle looks very good as a result of that. So,
Yeah, I agree. PSG, just
tough look.
yeah, that's one of those ones where you talk about how have the European teams looked in this tournament against the teams from South America.
Yeah. PSG, depending on how the goal difference shakes out. Oh, no, but Botafogo holds the tiebreaker. I believe this group will finish Botafogo 1, PSG 2. I'm sure there's some versions of this where that is not the case. But if that is the case, you would look at Inter Miami versus PSG in the first knockout round. So could be exciting.
It could be brutal for Inter Miami.
It'll probably be brutal.
Yeah, there's no doubt on that. So I think Botafogo PSG goes through in this group.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty obvious.
Group C. No, I don't see any difference there.
Let's skip before we get to Group C. Let's skip ahead to LAFC. Let's skip ahead to LAFC with Group D, and then we'll go back and we'll hit the rest of them. I do want to talk about LAFC, because we talked in the last episode of the World's Game about how live they'd looked against Chelsea, and how they had looked like they looked like they belonged on the field with them. And we were talking about how, you wouldn't guess that there was a, 20x multiplier on squad values versus LAFC versus Chelsea. But then they go and they play Esperance on, I think, Friday, was it? And it was one of the most listless, lifeless performances I've seen in this tournament from a team that isn't Auckland City FC. Like,
brutal.
A lot of just useless possession, careless errors, and then in sort of like the ultimate, they still had a chance to take a point away from this.
Yes.
I don't think it would have changed whether or not they're qualifying, but at the very least, they could have made things a little interesting. And Denny Bouanga gets to take a penalty in the dying minute of this game and takes one of the worst penalties I've seen in anyone take in a while. Am I wrong for thinking that that performance is something that unless they go out and I think their reward for this is playing Flamenco, who's looked like the team of the tournament so far.
Yeah.
Like, there is a possibility they get run off the field by Flamengo, and this is like this could linger into the MLS season for them. I feel like.
I don't. Maybe. I don't think so.
I don't know. That was brutal. Like the way, like Bouanga may need to go into witness protection after how bad he played in that. Not just the penalty, just he looked awful against Esperance.
Food poisoning controversy. Do we get to accuse Tunisians of food poisoning if your team looks
Maybe.
bad? Yeah. What made that game, I think, particularly insulting for MLS is that was the one game of the entire tournament involving an MLS team where you would have thought an MLS team, LAFC in this case, would have been favored. Probably should have expected to win this game. And yeah, to get nothing, to fail to draw in the final moments. Tough look.
I think they have a higher squad value than Esperance. It's one of the few
they
teams
do by a lot.
Yeah. Tunisia, not necessarily known for, world-class club football as well. So yeah, I would have expected more from them. So
how big a disappointment is this for LAFC? Because Seattle, it feels, I feel like I understand the Seattle
right
failing to get a point out of their group. way more than I feel understand this LAFC team failing to get a point.
Seattle's in a group of death, even if it wasn't Seattle. Like,
right.
Auckland in that group is still probably the group of death, right? And LAFC, you'd go, okay, well, again, before the tournament, before we see the form, they could draw Flamengo, they lose to Chelsea, beat Esperance, and, you know, they got a half decent chance of getting out of the group. That would look fine on paper. And it just doesn't even remotely go that way, even though their loss against Chelsea was encouraging. I think that game probably shook your, you know, friendly neighborhood Euro snob to his core, that Chelsea could not just put away a pretty good LAFC team. And then for them to turn around and do that against Esperance is terrible. It's terrible.
Not scoring a goal that's where LAFC is for me at this point. Like, they need to see one hit the back of the net in this tournament. If they go home having scored no goals, getting no points in this tournament, like, that's a bad look. I think that the only teams that still haven't scored it's them, it's Auckland City, and the Al Ahly. Yeah. Although Al Ain, the team Manchester City is playing, has also not scored, but that game is in progress right now. Yeah. I don't expect them to score, but you know, I don't expect them to score either.
I'll give them some credit.
It sucks, you know. As a Major League Soccer podcast, I was hoping LAFC put more of a fight in this tournament.
Yeah,
tough, but you know, they. I guess you can say that they were a last minute replacement to this tournament. That they didn't really find out they were going until like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, like a week before the tournament. Yeah, you do wonder what they would have looked like if back in January they had an extra $2 million to play with. You know, maybe things sort of shaken out a little different. Yeah. Group C, though, I think Boca Juniors hasn't had a chance against Auckland. We'll see how that shakes things up. But if Bayern beats Benfica, which Bayern has looked incredible this tournament,
Bayern has looked really good.
Boca Juniors beats Benfica. I think
Boca Juniors plays Auckland.
Yeah.
I think Boca goes through. How did the Benfica Boca Juniors?
It was a draw.
It was a draw.
So
we'll go to goal differential. So I mean, Boca's
going to run up the score.
Yeah. Boca could hang like that. That could be. I feel bad for Auckland City because that could be a thing where Boca is scoreboard watching and knows exactly how many they need to put through. Like that could be a.
Well, Boca is they're sitting in a 7-goal difference hole with Benfica.
Right.
With Benfica having not played Bayern Munich yet.
Right.
You know,
and having just scored 6 against Auckland, 5 or 6.
And Benfica and Bayern's going to be motivated to play this game because this is they could fall out of first place in group with a loss here.
Yeah,
they would fall out of first place in group with a loss.
So there's something for Bayern to play for, which is good for Boca Juniors. From this group, the only thing I would also note is the scenes at that Boca Bayern match on, was that Saturday night?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. just unreal. I think that was Friday. It was Friday. That was the Friday night match. Last night was what was last night? Was last night the well, no, regardless, it doesn't matter. But like the scenes in that match were unreal down in Miami with like how the fan bases, that stadium was rocking from jump. And it had a big fight feel to it. And Bayern looked so good in that match.
Yeah, that was the late Friday match here, right?
Yeah,
crazy game. And yeah, I had a feeling that one would be fun, just given the fan bases. Both of them had been traveling well. And yeah, I mean, these are two massive clubs in the world. So Boca Juniors' storied team for sure. That takes us down to Group E. This is the one. It was Monterey River Plate was the draw last night,
which wasn't like, for being a matchup that I was really looking forward to. Game was a little bit of a dud. It was chippy.
Yeah.
It was really, really chippy. And again, another match where the scenes were unbelievable out at the Rose Bowl at sunset for this. This was, you want another advertisement for this tournament. That was the drone shot they kept cutting to was a phenomenal advertisement for it.
Did
Soccer was not great.
Did we pick who we thought was going to get out of C between Benfica and Boca Juniors?
Ooh, no, we did not. Who do we think? Bayern goes through. I think we all agree with that.
I think Boca goes through.
I think Boca goes through too.
I think having that Auckland match is well timed for them.
God, it'd be so funny though to see Auckland put up the fight and knock Boca out. That'd be worth going to.
This is some Ted Lasso shit too, where it's like they can still lose 7-1, but if they score that one, it keeps Boca Juniors from going through.
Right? Yeah, because it basically serves as like a 2-goal punishment to them. So that's great.
Back on
Group
E though.
E.
The Red Diamonds, they're the Japanese, they're the J League team, right?
Yeah.
They were another team where their fan base
Holy
absolutely
crap.
showed out in Seattle. Like those dudes brought a tifo across the Pacific Ocean. They did a card stunt in their section. That was just awesome.
And looked good. Scored early against Inter. That was dope. I also saw there was a really funny clip of a fan of whoever the Red Diamonds rival is. This person is a fan of that team. Traveled all the way to Seattle to heckle them as they got off the bus and yelled
he
at them.
wore a River Plate.
Jersey.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
And I aspire to that level of petty, and that level of disposable income where I could fly across the Pacific to boo my rival.
So then,
the other thing I loved about this too, and it's the traditions of teams that you never get to watch. That Red Diamonds leaves it all out on the field. It was a fun game, and then their team goes over to the fans and they bow. To the fans. And it was such a cool moment. And I understand there's grown men crying in the stands because they thought they had a chance. They were gonna beat Inter. They were gonna get points. Now they're kind of sitting on nothing with the rest of the groups already sitting on 4. So they're done for this tournament at this point. Just a cool moment though.
Yeah. Well, you say that. And that is correct. I believe they're officially not.
Yeah, they famously 3 less than 4.
I was trying to do that. So
they can keep Monterey out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Inter and River Plate play. Monterey and Red Diamonds play. Yes. So depending on the results of this game, it's really a toss up between River, Inter, and Monterey. Oh.
I'm going to say Inter. I think Inter wins that game against River Plate. And then things get real interesting then at that point with Monterey.
So if that happens, and
I think Monterey goes. I think that Inter and Monterey go through here.
Wow.
Yeah, I would. You know what? I'm going to go River Plate and Monterey.
I love that pick
That'd
so
be awesome.
much.
That'd be pretty awesome.
I will also pick that just because I want to see it happen more.
Right.
That would be awesome to see the European runners up get grouped by the Western Hemisphere. Absolutely love it. Group F, Fluminense, Borussia Dortmund running away with this one, but
yep, got the Mamelodi Sundowns lurking in third place with 3 points. They draw Fluminense on Wednesday for the last game in group. They're playing that down in Miami. If I wasn't working and that was within driving distance, I'm not gonna lie. If that game's in Atlanta,
you're there.
I'm having thoughts.
Sundowns have to win that game.
They have to win.
To be clear, they have to win that game to go through.
Yeah,
yes.
Draw doesn't do it, but win and they are in. If I am reading this correctly,
yeah, right.
Because
they're in.
They jump Fluminense, and then doesn't really
matter with Dortmund.
I guess Ulsan could beat Dortmund, but in that case, it would be Sundowns and Dortmund likely.
Yeah.
So then is Dortmund through?
I believe Dortmund is through regardless. I don't think that there is a way that Dortmund cannot go through.
So they're
Okay.
not listed on the website as here's how Dortmund doesn't go through.
Okay.
Dortmund loses to Ulsan HD.
Okay.
Sundowns beat Fluminense. Fluminense and Dortmund tied, so the tiebreaker goes to goal difference. Right now, Fluminense has a better goal difference than Dortmund, and they would keep a better goal difference than Dortmund if Dortmund lost to Ulsan.
Right. Okay.
So that's how Dortmund doesn't go through.
Okay. Seems pretty unlikely that both of those upsets happen. I think, Chief.
I know.
What do you think? You're the number one Sundowns fan here.
I'm saying the Sundowns and Dortmund go through. You know what? Let me talk on Mama Lodi here for a second. Here. Like that team, they took it to Dortmund in this game. Like this team, they're faster than a hiccup. They're outsized at every position on the pitch, but they ran, they possessed, they went down 4-1 and clawed back to 3-4, and at least had 2 or 3 good chances in stoppage time. They're a fun team, and they would be a really, really fun team to watch in the knockouts right here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call the miracle. I'm going to say they shock Fluminense, and that it's Borussia Dortmund and Mamelodi Sundowns going through in Group F.
Love this. I love that the team nicknamed the Brazilians will beat
the Brazilians. It's destined. It's fate.
The student has become the master.
They're fun, and like that I would be watching that game anyway. That'll be a fun game, I think.
Yeah. Group G, I'm going to say this is done and dusted. Juventus and Man City are through, both on 6 points. I think they play each other. Do I have that right? Yes.
I believe so, yeah.
So, yeah, that is all she wrote there. Good job. It would have been incredibly embarrassing if either one of them had not gotten through this group. Casablanca and Al Ain are not exactly world beaters. So
the way Juventus is playing right now, they're a sneaky option to win this tournament right now.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It takes us to Group H, where there is a little more to play for. Pachuca, I believe, is out, and that leaves Al Hilal, Salzburg, and Real Madrid. Salzburg and Real Madrid will play each other. This is sort of a repeat of Group A. They could sort of handshake, draw this, and they would both advance without any issue. Al Hilal Pachuca could be a very fun game.
Well, if they went draw and Al Hilal beats Pachuca, they would all have 5 points. How would the tiebreakers work here?
They would both have the tiebreaker on Hilal.
They would both have tiebreaker?
Because they both beat them.
That's not... Well, Al Hilal has 2 points.
Oh, they drew.
They drew both of them.
Sorry, I'm misreading the table.
So then it would
be goal difference.
And then... Yeah, then they'd be done. Well, no, maybe not. Because...
if everybody... Because they would potentially jump Salzburg.
They would just... If they win, they would, by definition, they would have to... be at least tied with Salzburg.
So if Hilal beats Pachuca 1-0 and Madrid and Salzburg tie,
0-0.
Tie 1-1. Yeah.
Hilal meets Salzburg on goal difference.
Meet
them on goals scored. And I don't know where we go from there. I mean, but then
they
if
would
it's
also
like
meet them on goals against.
Right. But if it's a draw with goals between Madrid and Salzburg,
then they're out.
They're out. Then they have to beat Pachuca more than.
Could this be a yellow card situation if it's a 0-0 draw plus a...
It does get to that point. And then if it's tied, it's my favorite. It's the drawing of lots.
What does drawing of lots mean anyway?
I don't know. I was just about to ask. I wonder if there's an official lots thing, if it's a coin flip. I mean, drawing of lots, I think, is like a randomized game to do it. I don't know if they like literally have like FIFA branded like sticks where you draw and whoever has the longest one advances.
Right. Do they swirl their hands in a giant glass bowl with ping pong balls?
We can only hope.
Yeah. I watched a little bit of that Real Madrid Pachuca game today. Pachuca somehow goes up a man like 5 minutes into this game,
right,
and still gets the absolute brakes beaten off them by Madrid. Like they got absolutely ass whipped in this game.
Yeah, I had highlighted this as a game I wanted to see just because I was curious how far off Mexico was from Real Madrid. Turns out pretty far off.
Yeah, long way.
Not that Pachuca,
well, somebody was saying online, and I don't know how true this is that they were calling Pachuca altitude merchants because they play at like almost 8,000 feet, 7,500 feet, and their home record is apparently unreal.
Right,
but like famously, Charlotte, North Carolina, at sea level. So
this is Bolivia and Ecuador in South American World Cup qualifying every time.
Yeah, they're going from the mountaintop to the low country. Yes. I don't know that did real well for Pachuca there.
Oh, man. Kept the Columbus Crew out of the Club World Cup.
So here. For that, I'll be forever grateful, I guess.
So there you go. I mean, everything to play for a lot of these groups. I think it'll be a lot of fun to see how this shakes out. The knockout tournament, though, could be a lot of fun. Really, I feel like unless you truly have a club in this, I am rooting for just the most diverse field at all times. Like if it is leaning too heavy South America, I want more of a split. But ideally, our round of 8 is 6 or 7. No, 5 or 6 different confederations represented. I think that would be great.
So I love this tournament. I've already, like I said, I've waxed poetic about this enough. As if you're just in a position where I just want the best outcome for this tournament that builds the most excitement for 4 years from now, what's the optimal outcome?
The optimal outcome is all of the European teams getting knocked out except one who goes to the final and loses. Because you need the rest of the world to prove that they are as good, if not better, than the European clubs up to that point. But you need a European team to stay late so that the rest of Europe and European football correspondents still kind of have to pay attention. And then you need that team to lose.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I think there's a lot of permutations, but I think ultimately the outcomes that we should be rooting for are those that make Europeans or European teams self-conscious about their performance in this tournament. Like you want them to come back in 4 years and with the idea that we're better than all these teams, but we embarrassed ourselves. Yeah. And we need to prove that we're better than all these teams.
Yeah. I think that like what you're looking for, like your best case scenario is that one of these Brazilian teams wins, I think.
Absolutely.
There's already some chatter online that I'm seeing that I love tremendously about how questioning, is the Brazilian league better than the big 4 or the big 5 in Europe? Right. Like where would it rank among the major European leagues? And is it better than any of them? And I'm here for that conversation.
Absolutely.
All the time.
We need those takes. We need them. We need people out on a limb with data saying the Brazilian league, maybe not on the transfer market value, maybe not on individual quality, but they put teams out there. They play tactically the best football. They're the best coach. They're the smartest players. They play the beautiful game and they do it better than any other league in the world. That's the kind of stuff that we need coming out of this tournament.
Yeah.
I think that I would take that a step further and say I would also like there to be a meta conversation about whether or not our ways of computing transfer value is too Eurocentric and needs to be adjusted in light of the performances of teams from elsewhere in the world? Are we undervaluing players who don't choose to enter the European marketplace for whatever personal reason there is?
Well, I do think that is sort of, it does expose the issue with the transfer market methodology, where it's like, it's kind of trying to predict the eventual transfer value of a player, but then also using that as a proxy for that player. Like a great example of this is Messi. Messi on transfer market is worth $25 million. Miami will not let him go for less than $500 million. Like, that's just the reality of the situation, right? Like, if it's $25 million to get him, every team on planet Earth is willing to pay that right now to bring him in. They will figure it all out later. He's not worth that much.
Like
He's worth more.
Auckland City is going to shell out $25 million for Messi,
and they will make it in t-shirts alone, right then and there. So yes, I do think there's some degree of like they expect these guys to go, and so a guy in the Brazilian league may get transferred 3 or 4 times, but within Brazil where there just isn't as much money, so his value cannot be as high. But I think on a player to player, you start getting more into like the FIFA player ratings or the football manager player ratings. Those should probably be a lot closer than they are. I would agree with you there.
Second question.
Please.
If a European team is going to win this, what's the best European team outcome we could ask for a European team winning it?
You kind of
Juve. I was going to say Juve or Inter Milan.
Well, the problem with Juve is I think it does enough to like hurt the tournament, where the rest of Europe can look at Juve and say, oh, that's a club in shambles right now. And, you know, they're not at the top of their game. So I think you would want a Manchester City or PSG, because then the answer is, of course, they won. But yeah, if it's like anybody else, it's like, ooh, I don't know. How did that team win?
Yeah, it's probably true.
Know. Third question. What is an optimal outcome now what is a realistically optimal outcome for Inter Miami in this tournament that you should be rooting for as an MLS fan?
Respectable performance against PSG.
Like, don't lose by 5.
Yes, the exact expectations I have for Seattle. If anything, maybe the benchmark is whatever happens in the Seattle PSG game, Miami has to beat that. That would be a good result.
Seattle's setting the benchmark out, and they just need to do a little better than that. They need to throw the shot put just a little bit further.
That's exactly it. So if Seattle loses by 5, Miami has to lose by 4.
I mean, Miami might have to play Botafogo.
They might.
There's no good answers for Inter Miami after this group is over.
Yeah, I think the best outcome for Miami is they play PSG, and I guess, can they play PSG?
I think PSG finishes second. Oh wait, am I messing this up? 1B versus 2A versus versus 2A. So the winner of Group A will get.
Well, they won't win Group A.
Second place in Group A plays winner of Group B.
That's it. Okay.
PSG can potentially win on goal difference, I think, if Atletico beats Botafogo, because they lost to PSG.
That's it.
And PSG lost to Botafogo, so the head-to-head would be a wash in that case, and you go to goal difference. And PSG probably win that, because they currently have the best goal difference. And they would only be padding that by beating Seattle. So, yeah, I guess, yeah.
Or Inter Miami beats Palmeiras, and then all bets are off. Or they would just play PSG, probably.
They would play PSG again. Inter Miami will always play PSG.
It's fate. You can't fight fate, unfortunately.
There's no escaping this. Yeah, I think really the hope is that Miami advances, and it's almost assured that they do. And I think an MLS team getting out is good. And I know there were people who will say like, oh, but Messi did it. Oh, but it's Busquets. But I think we do need to just pause for a moment and be like, sure, yes. But also, that is an MLS team. An MLS team has Busquets. An MLS team has Miami. And if it were a Saudi Arabian
starting
team,
homegrowns too. Like there are homegrown players that are starting for this Inter Miami team.
Yes, there are young players. They bench some of their higher valued transfer players for younger players. Absolutely.
And not only that too. Yeah. Like just it's a team like a TAM player will be playing in the knockout stages of the Club World Cup. I don't care if he's got Messi, Ronaldo, or like the ghost of Pele on this team. There will be a player that has a TAM salary designation playing in the Club World Cup knockout stages.
I don't know his designation, but the fact that Fafa Picault is like an important player for this Miami team is very funny. So well done, everybody.
You think DeAndre Yedlin regrets that trade now?
Just a little bit.
Maybe. Yeah.
Julian Gressel's hating life.
You're right. Just, he's up in Minnesota enjoying a Leinenkugel or a Liney. Is that Minnesota or Wisconsin? Grayson, you're the resident expert.
It's Wisconsin.
It's Wisconsin.
Fuck. What's a Minnesota beer?
Man, you're really putting me on the spot here. Indeed.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, you just make that up. I don't know. I feel like it's a dark beer or whatever it is.
Man.
Yeah. Well, I love this tournament.
Yeah.
I'm going to be sad when it's done, but then we'll have, the MLS season resumes this week. So we've got that for us too. But I am hopeful that this is only the beginning for the Club World Cup. And I hope that these matches are good. I think that the knockout stage matches are going to be just a ton of fun. I think it's going to be really, really good.
Oh yeah. Chief, can I just to the Club World Cup point, if I could just address the haters for a second.
Please do.
I despise the argument or the point that people have tried to make, which is that it is a made up tournament. I just want to point out that every single tournament is made up. They're all made up. Sports and sports leagues, get this, also made up. There is no divine right to the sports league as you want it to. And then people will say, oh, this is just a cash grab. This entire thing is just to make money. And again, I will point out that in the world of soccer, anything that is not a regular season club match is also a money grab. Your promotion playoffs, money grabs. Champions Leagues, money grabs. Europa Leagues, money grabs. Copa Sudamerica's, money grabs. League Cup and Leagues Cups, all money grabs. Anytime there is a preseason game where they charge admission, money grab, okay? They're all money grabs. So you just need to deal with that for a moment. I want us all, though, to take a lesson from the South American teams and the South American fans from this tournament. It's kind of amazing to watch multiple fan bases get excited to watch their team play the sport of soccer. They are excited to watch their team and they want their team to win. And they are cheering and rooting and singing for their team to win. And the players on the field are playing in a made up competition and want to win the made up trophy to earn the made up money. Okay, that's what they're looking for here. And the fact that other teams and other fan bases will go, well, yeah, it's my favorite team, but I don't really care if they win or not. Guess what? You're not a fan. You just lost your fan card. You're out. If your team enters a competition and thinks, I don't really want to win this, congratulations. You have a terrible team and ownership is required. Your management is required to fire all of them and hire players who actually want to win. It is ridiculous to me that there is an argument that nobody should care or that players shouldn't care or that fans shouldn't want their team to win. Absolutely not. This has been a ton of fun. And the fact that there are teams and fan bases that like this and want to win and are trying is a lesson to everybody else. So if you're not that, be like that.
Yeah. Also, if you're concerned trolling over the players being overworked, stop. Stop. They don't need you. They don't need you fighting for them. They're making a lot of money. Stop.
Yeah. A lot of the players complaining about this, I think, were actually just concerned about the amount of compensation for the effort that they were going to put out. And sure, a lot of that money came from Saudi Arabia, and we can all be mad about, what that means and the strings that are attached to that. But also, nobody's hands are clean. It's not like you can go watch the Club World Cup to get away from Saudi money, where you have to watch Saudi Arabia actually play in this tournament for reasons that do not make any sense outside of money. Yeah, there's no purest way to look at this. You can't, watch MLS and not know that Manchester City and an oil state owns New York City, or watch the Premier League and know that the PIF has their hands all over the league and at least one team there. Yeah, I don't know. There's no clean hands here. There's no reason to be doing that. So yeah, as soon as the compensation was made available, nobody complained outside of La Liga leadership. So there you go.
Right. Grayson, you've been silent this entire time. I feel like you're a hater that Kevin was addressing. Do you want to respond to that?
No, I was promised this segment would be 30 minutes.
On that note, Kevin, are we done here?
We're more than done.
We're more than done here. Well, in honor of my Mamelodi Sundowns, the motto of the team, the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. Go enjoy, go forth, and release the tapes. And fuck Columbus.
The Cincy Postcast is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out online at thepostcincy.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky, Facebook, and Instagram. Twitter and Blue Sky, though, you'll find we're a little more active than the other places. We're also on YouTube, where you can listen to this episode if you aren't listening to it already. We are also putting up video content semi-regularly, including the Away Days series. We want to give a huge thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers for providing the music for this episode. They are a lovely band, and you can find more information out about them in the description of this episode. And if you happen to enjoy what you just heard, can I please ask that you like us, that you rate us on whatever app you're listening to, and maybe more importantly than all of that, share this episode with a friend. When it comes up at work, you're talking about FC Cincinnati, I say, hey, I listened to an FC Cincinnati podcast. I think you guys will like it. It would really, really help us out. Nothing helps a podcast travel more than a good recommendation from a friend, family member. That would be awesome. When it comes to the sorting algorithms that control our lives, a 5-star review would be much appreciated. Also, leaving a sort of written review weirdly does more than that. That's how the algorithms work. So maybe say a nice or a mean thing, whatever. Just as long as you give us 5 stars, that'll really, really, really help us out. And if you are looking for more MLS content, check out our other podcast, The World's Gam. Again, a link will be in the description of this episode. That is where we touch on league-wide storylines and news, and we talk about other games and a couple other teams in there as well. I think you will enjoy it if you are just dipping your toes into Major League Soccer. A huge thank you to all of our sponsors. A even bigger thank you to all of our patrons over at Patreon. But maybe most importantly, thank you for listening to this episode.